Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I have got such a fun video for you guys today. I had so much fun filming this video, this makeup look. We are going to be doing this full makeup look using some really old school YouTube products. I've got a desk full of cult classics here on YouTube, some of which are quite old, but all of which have been raved about. My guess is a lot of you guys have tried or still own some of this makeup, and I have to say, I am pretty thrilled with how this makeup look turned out and amazed that some of these products still are fantastic, even after all the makeup I have tried over the years. It's gonna be a good one. Hope you guys are excited about it. Before we jump into the makeup, I want to give a special welcome to those of you that are new visitors to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel before you leave. But with that said, we have got a lot of makeup to put on and talk about, so let's get right to it. Alright, we're going to get things started with a primer. I do have one primer that I consider to be like a cult favorite, and that is the Smashbox Primerizer Primer. I know this has new packaging now. I have the old version. I'm getting awfully close to finishing this one up. It is a great primer. If you are looking for something just really nice and hydrating to really soften your skin before you go in with foundation, this probably is one of the best, even though it is a little pricey. Let's go in with a little bit of foundation. So you guys are going to laugh at me for this foundation because I actually forgot that I had this until just a couple of days ago when I was digging through some of my drawers that hold stuff that I don't reach for very often, like my false eyelashes. And I found these in the back of a drawer, the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. Now these probably aren't the oldest cult favorite. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today goes back like 10 years. This definitely doesn't go back quite that far, but there was a good couple of years, about 5 years ago, that everyone raved about this. You can't even buy it anymore, sadly. I think it is easily the best packaging at the drugstore. Mine are a couple years old. Now, after finding these in the back of a drawer and having not reached for them for a long time, I'm not going to tell you guys exactly how long, I probably should throw these away, but rather than throw them away, we're going to actually use them in today's video. I do know though, there are several of you that have said this is your holy grail foundation, you still use this, you bought it on backup when it was still around, so we're going to use mine. I have two shades. I have the shade MW2 and the shade LW2. I just mix these equal parts to get a good shade match for me. Still smells okay. I mean, this foundation has always had an odd smell. It was between this foundation or the It Cosmetics CC Cream. However, I have the Illumination version, which I don't feel like is quite a favorite in the way that the original CC Cream is, which I haven't even tried. So I have about that much on the back of my hand. We're going to mix those two shades together with my finger. And I'm just going to kind of start tapping that on, and then we're going to blend this one out with a sponge. This does have a very strong, like Sherwin-Williams paint scent. In fact, I remember one of you once said to me that you thought it smelled like a mixture of paint and maple syrup, and I think you're exactly right. That's exactly what this smells like. I can definitely smell that bit of like sweetness. That's kind of, it's a bizarre scent for a foundation. Whew, yeah, that foundation, you guys, it's beautiful, but man, that is a strong, strong scent. Maybe mine's gotten a little stronger because it's a little bit old. All right, that is going to do it for foundation. Let's move on to a concealer. I don't actually own a lot of concealers that I would consider cult classics. I got rid of my original Tarte Shape Tape. Honestly, I didn't ever really love that concealer. So we're going to go with another one that's not super old, but I still kind of think is like a cult favorite, especially here on YouTube. It's the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. I also have the hydrating version. I actually like both of them equally. I don't even notice that significant of a difference. I do think the hydrating one is perhaps a little bit more hydrating, but I don't think this one is drying by any means for me. It's maybe a little bit more thick and like heavier coverage, but I really like this concealer. I've liked it for a long time. We're going to use a little bit of the lighter shade. I have Medium Peach just on my eyelids and kind of around my eyes. Then we're going to go with this shade, which is Medium Sand, and use that to kind of cover a couple of spots. I'm filming in the morning. It's 9:40. What time is it right now? It's 10 o'clock actually. And I have just learned that I can't film in the morning in this location because I have such blue lighting that I probably would be better off filming in the evening when I don't have any natural light, because I have this window well and a blue sky right in front of me, and it just is very, very blue. So I get these really kind of bluish magenta shadows on my face that I can't seem to color balance for. So my apologies if I look a little bit blue. Abadi. That was so dumb. Maybe this concealer will help conceal some of that blue magenta cast in like my dark circles. Okay, I do feel like that helped with the blue shadows on my face. Great concealer. That is seriously so good. Let's move on to a classic powder. I had to go with the RCMA No Color powder. This powder has been raved about for years. I remember, in fact, this and a lipstick that we'll be getting to, or a lip liner that we'll be getting to at the end. I kind of owe my purchase of these to, oh my goodness, I can't even remember her name that I used to watch here on YouTube. Candy Johnson. That's who I'm trying to think of. Candy Johnson. I don't really watch, is she even on YouTube anymore? I definitely haven't watched her for a long time, but I used to watch her. And I think she was the one that told me about the No Color powder. I have to say it's a great powder. I just hate the packaging. I mean, I feel like this belongs in my Lazy Susan, but I'm gonna use just a little bit of this to set down my forehead wrinkles and kind of the side of my nose. Let's see what bronze we're using today. Yeah, sides of my mouth, a little bit on my cheeks, definitely some on my eyelids. I would certainly use this a lot more often if the packaging was a little bit more convenient. I mean, honestly, all I do is I give it a shake before I open it, and then I just use it right out of the top of the lid, which I guess is not that difficult, but for some reason it just seems a little bulky and clunky. I can't really store it where I store my other makeup products, so often gets forgotten about, but it is great. All right, that is good for now. Let's do my brows next. So again, with brows, I don't have a lot of brow products that I feel like are old YouTube favorites. And part of that is because I did not do my brows until the year like 2017, like the start of my channel. In fact, I think the first couple of YouTube videos that I filmed, I don't think I did my brows at all. And then I would edit the videos and realize, you need to do something about those brows, Mandy. They don't look very good. So the one we're going with, as you guys probably saw, we're going to go with the e.l.f. brow pencil. This may not have been around as long as some of the other products that we'll be getting to in a minute here, but I have to say, this is definitely, it's raved about, I would say, more from you guys. Like, I notice a lot of you guys use it. I know even in my store for a while, they had a little marketing thing next to this brow pencil saying it was like the world's most selling brow pencil. That was grammatically wrong. The world's best-selling brow pencil. So I know a lot of you do love it, and you definitely can't beat $2. By the way, this is in the shade Taupe, in case you're wondering. Let's add a little bit of brow gel. I'm going to take my Benefit Gimme Brow. This is an old classic I know a lot of people really love. I really like it, but for how expensive this is, especially compared to like my Wow Brow, I think the Wow Brow is just about as good. By the way, I think mine is in the shade 3. Mine is in the shade 3. Okay, brows are done. Let's move on to the rest of my face. I feel like I definitely need some color. So we're going to go with a classic bronzer. You guys can probably guess what it is. My guess is 9 out of 10 of you guys own this one as well. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I still think this is one of the best bronzers at the drugstore. And maybe today we can finally hit pan in mine. I have been trying really hard to hit pan. Well, not that hard, actually. I haven't reached for this enough to be trying really hard, but I do reach for it somewhat regularly to where I feel like I should have hit pan by now. So maybe we can go in a little heavy-handed today and see if we can get some pan to show, because I feel like I'm so close. I have mine in the light bronze version, so I can go in a little bit more heavy-handed with this one because it's pretty light on me. But I love the formula of this bronzer. It's so nice. Just gives you that kind of like luminous bronzy quality that I love. It has a really nice finish. Now for a classic blush, had to go with Max Melba. I think I bought this blush after seeing Jaclyn Hill rave about it in a video many years ago. She's another one of those YouTubers that, if she even is on YouTube anymore, I definitely don't watch her anymore. I don't know, I know there's been a lot of like controversies surrounding her that I have not honestly paid a whole lot of attention to, but I used to really love her when I first started watching YouTube videos. She is very skilled and had some really good recommendations, and this was one of my favorite recommendations from her. This is such a beautiful shade of blush that I often compare other blush shades that are kind of that neutral, soft, kind of dusty rose pink that has a little bit of warmth to it, to this shade. Like, I'm always like thinking, oh, that reminds me of Max Melba. And I say that about a lot of different shades, but it's beautiful. Goes with anything. Really easy to use. Nice and pigmented, but not too pigmented, if you know what I mean. All right, there we have it. Let's add a little bit of highlighter. This was a tricky one because I feel like I have a few highlighters that I consider to be kind of classic cult favorites, but I had to go with Essence Pure Nude. Really, it came down to this one and Becca's Opal, which is also a really great highlighter, but we're going to go with this one today because my guess is a lot of you guys still own this. If you did enjoy this one, I think it's really amazing, especially for the price. I mean, $4.99, the formula of this is pretty dang good for a under $5 highlight. Doesn't emphasize texture in the way that a lot of my other favorite highlighters do, but it definitely can still give you some intensity. Look at that. That is glorious. Well, let's move on to the eyes. So this was another one that I knew was going to be really tricky. I've got a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I've held on to because they are OG cult YouTube classics, but I ended up selecting the Tartelette in Bloom palette because this palette is not just an old classic, but it's one that I still think holds up to some of my best palettes in my collection. This one I often leave out of ranking videos, but I feel like it's always like in the ranking. It's almost there. It's just not quite as exciting as some of my newer ones. So I definitely don't rave about this one the way I feel like it deserves to probably be raved about. A couple of other ones I could have used for today's video were the Chocolate Bar palette from Too Faced, which I still own, the Urban Decay Naked palette, the original velvet one, you know what I'm talking about. But those ones I just don't reach for anymore. I keep those more for sentimental reasons, but this one I do still think is a great everyday palette. And I know there's a lot of you guys that love this one as well. So we're going to use it today. Let's see, what do I want to do? I feel like I just did a berry tone look, so maybe we'll stick with these top two rows, but I do want to take this pink in my transition area, and then we'll kind of stick with some of the more neutral or cool toned browns. Oh, I had a hard time pronouncing that word just now. I just love a pink in my transition, like a peachy pink. I know I've said that in so many videos recently. Should shut up about it. It's just a phase I'm going through right now. But I've had this palette for like 5 or 6 years. It still smells deliciously chocolatey. I love it. Beautiful. Let's add a little bit of this shade now, the cool tone kind of lighter brown in that top row. That's Jet Setter. Same brush. I'm just taking it on the tip of that number 16 rougher brush, and we're going to lightly just put that right in my crease all the way across. Cannot wait, you guys. Baseball season starts tomorrow, and I'm so excited. Senior year. It's a big year. I also have my 14-year-old son, my freshman. He's playing tennis this year, which I'm also very excited about because he's really excited about it. He's the one that, like, we forced him sort of to play baseball. I mean, when he was really young and he wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do, and we wanted him to try and find a sport to get into, but he did not like baseball, partly because I think his brother, that baseball is like his identity. So I feel like he wanted his own thing. And just the last couple years, my dad's been playing tennis with him. My dad actually played tennis, and I think he played tennis in like junior college or something. But he's been playing with him. He tried to get me to play tennis when I was young, but I was the most uncoordinated child ever. He gave up on me very quickly, and I gave up on sports altogether very quickly. So it's fun to see that he's kind of excited to try out tennis. So we'll be watching tennis and baseball this spring. Not to mention my 6th grade boy also plays baseball. So it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy busy spring. Okay, let's jump in with something. I don't know, you guys. I really want to go in with this shade right here. And then maybe we'll darken things up with the dark brown. Let's do these two. Let's start with this one. This is my reference number 14. I'm gonna add a little bit of this and kind of put that just through the outer, like, third of the lid and outer corner. And then we'll put that dark brown on top of it. This is such a beautiful, beautiful shade, the shade Rebel. Man, this palette is so good. So good. Every time I do pull this thing back out, I'm always wowed by the performance of it. And just the colors are just perfectly done. Okay, let's add that same shade to my lower lash line. I'm going to take that on my rougher number 2 brush, little smudge brush. Again, the shade Rebel. Actually, let's mix Rebel and that Sweetheart shade that we initially used and run those underneath. Having a lot of sensitivity on my outer corner right here. I fell asleep in my makeup last night, and I think my mascara really irritated my eyes. That is so beautiful. Okay, I'm almost tempted to like not mess with it because I love that kind of soft smokiness, but it's kind of a compulsion with me. As you probably know, if there's a dark shade in a palette, you know I'm going to want to use it. So let's try and go with just a tiny bit of this brown right here. This is the color, I was going to say Activate. No, turn it right side up, Mandy. It's Activist. Just the tiniest bit on that same reference number 14 brush, and just tap that really gently along the lash line. I just barely want this to smoke out that outer corner. That's perfect. Okay, that looks incredible. I could probably do without a liner, and to be honest, I don't have a liner that's really like an old cult classic, but I do have one that's like a Mandy cult classic. It's going to be the Wet n Wild liner, which I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me rave about. Well, probably not. If you were, you would have left by now because it's been a few years. So we're just going to add a little bit of this to the outer corner. Just a tiny bit, not very much. Okay, there are the eyes. Let's add some mascara. So this one was also a little bit tricky. I feel like there's some really good cult favorite mascaras out there, a lot of which I don't own, and I really didn't want to buy a new mascara for this video. So the one that I think comes closest to like an old cult classic, or just one that's been raved about by a lot of people for a long time, is the It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. This tube is just about ready to go in the trash. I think I've had it for nearly 9 months now, which is kind of the point where I usually will toss my mascaras, unless of course they haven't been opened yet and I throw them in the trash thinking they're old, but then dig them back out because technically they weren't opened. This is such a great one. It's been a long time favorite of mine. I feel like it's been a little overshadowed lately by some of my other favorite higher end mascaras, but I love this one. I'm gonna add a couple coats of this and then we'll be back and we will finish off with the lips and we'll be all done. Okay guys, there's the mascara. Wow, that mascara is so good. It's been a couple of months since I've pulled this one out, and I had forgotten how insane this makes your lashes look. If you're looking for something that makes you look like you have a million lashes that are super thick, super dark, tons of volume, this is definitely the mascara. It is a little bit messy to work with. It's nearly a little bit clumpy, which normally I hate, but I give this one a pass because it just makes your lashes look so good. But I did notice as I was wiping off the mess on my eyelid that I never put a lid shade on when I was doing my eyes. I'm not sure how I forgot that. I must have been like lost in conversation. I don't know. Apparently I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I was planning to add this shade, Funny Girl, which is one of my favorite lid shades that I don't talk about enough. This is such a beautiful kind of champagne goldy pink. It goes with anything. It's such a gorgeous lid shade. I almost always use this when I use this palette, but I'm kind of wondering if I should just stick with the all matte look because I hardly ever do that. Let's go in with this flat brush. Have to be a little careful because I do have my mascara on. I am going to keep it pretty matte and then just add a tiny bit of shimmer right on my inner tear duct. So let's take these two matte shades right here, the shade Charmer and Flower Child. One's like a snow white, one's kind of a bone white. Let's take both of those, tap off the excess, and then just tap that gently all over the inner half of my lid. And let's take that same shade and run it under my arch right there. I hardly ever do this step, but these are really nice matte kind of highlight shades that look nice under the brow bone. And then let's take that shimmer, the shade Funny Girl, and I'm going to take my Rephr number 3 brush, this little pointy brush. Actually, I'm going to wet this just a little bit of my ColourPop setting spray and dip it into just a little bit of the shimmer and pop that right like in a V shape on that inner corner. Honestly guys, it's been years since I have not put a shimmer on my lid. But that looks lovely. Let's move on to the lips. So I've got some good old classics for the lips, starting with a lip liner. This is again, I believe, a recommendation from Candy Johnson back in the day. This is the MAC lip liner in Whirl. This is a classic. It's still a favorite of mine, especially as I've gotten older and realized that a lot of lip liners, if they're too creamy, they do not work on my very liney lips. Let me just add a little bit of lip balm. My lips are looking awfully dry. I'm gonna take a little bit of my Laneige lip sleeping mask that I leave down here far away from where I actually sleep. I just use my Aquaphor at night. This is much too nice to use while I'm sleeping. Actually, we need to call in the big guns. My lips are so dry and flaky right now. I'm gonna take a little bit of my e.l.f. lip exfoliator. This is just the brown sugar version, I think. I do some serious exfoliating of my lips. They look really bad. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now back to the lip liner. I'm just gonna overline my lips just in the center a little bit, and then I'm going to lightly fill them in because the lipstick we are using today is a little bit on the light side. Okay, let's top that with some lipstick. Again, this one is also from MAC. I feel like nothing says old school YouTube like a MAC lipstick. This one is in the shade Blankety, which I feel like is kind of an old school shade. It's a little bit light, but I love this one with a darker lip liner underneath. These two make a really good combination. Let's top that with a gloss, and a classic gloss, which I feel like I've been talking about these a lot lately again. Have to go with the NYX Butter Gloss. I have the shade Madeline. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous kind of go with anything shade. And that's it for the lips. That is such a perfect nude lip look. Let's add a little bit of setting spray. I'm going to take my Urban Decay Original All Nighter setting spray, the ultimate old school setting spray. This is like the setting spray that existed before any other setting sprays existed. I don't know if that's actually true, but it feels that way. All right, here you have it. This is the finished makeup look. What do you guys think? I think this looks as pretty as any look that I've done in a long time, all with makeup that's been around for quite a while. What did you guys think about these products? Do some of you guys still own these? Have you decluttered them? Have you ever owned them? What are some of your favorite old school makeup videos? I know I'm not the only one that's been watching beauty videos on YouTube for like 10 plus years. So let me know what old school cult classic YouTube products you guys still have laying around in your makeup collection. I had so much fun filming this video for you guys today, reminiscing a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. But that's it for today. Thank you guys for joining me today. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me give you one last reminder if you haven't subscribed yet. I hope that you'll do that before you leave. But that's going to do it for now. Thanks again, you guys. I will see you in my next video. Bye. What was her name? Well, I guess I just won't bring that up because I can't remember her name. She had the dark hair. Why can I not remember her name? What the heck is wrong with me? COVID brain. Can we still use that excuse? Pretty as a look as I've ever done. Was that grammatically? Oh gosh. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel.